Hello there, my name is Pavos Telmo and now we'll unveil the top news of recent days. The European Union country leaders agreed on additional €50 billion in aid package for Ukraine as part of the EU budget. It was announced by the President of the European Council, Charles Michel. According to him, such a decision will ensure stable, long-term and predictable funding for Ukraine. President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, thanked leaders for creating the fund for us. He said that it is equally important as military aid and sanctions against Russia.
This is a clear signal that Ukraine will withstand and that Europe will withstand. It is also really important that this decision was taken unanimously by all of you, all 27 member states, and it is yet another clear sign of your strong unity and support of Ukraine.
In addition, EU countries have pledged to allocate €21 billion in military assistance to Ukraine for the current year. This was announced by EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs, Josep Borrell. And he emphasized that this is a minimum, since individual states have not yet provided figures for their support. The EU also wants to train another 20,000 Ukrainian soldiers, bringing their total number to 60,000. It is essential and decisive to demonstrate Europe's complete reliability and the effectiveness of its decisions. Russia's aggression against Europe, initiated by Moscow on the European front, has now been bolstered by another Russian accomplice, namely artillery shells and ballistic missiles from North Korea. They are already terrorizing our cities in addition to the Iranian Shaheeds that are destroying our civilian infrastructure. Intelligence confirms that Russia will receive 1 million artillery shells from Pyongyang. Meanwhile, unfortunately, the implementation of the European plan to supply 1 million artillery shells to Ukraine is being delayed again. And this too is a signal of global competition in which Europe cannot afford to lose. Today, Europe is sending a signal across the Atlantic and all over the world that international rules-based world will withstand all challenges. Europe sets the tone for global affairs with its unity. Now this is a fact, and it must remain so. The United Nations International Court of Justice found violations by Russia under two conventions: the suppression of the financing of terrorism and the elimination of all forms of racial discrimination. The court confirmed that the Russian Federation did not conduct an investigation into the financial support of illegal armed groups in certain areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions of Ukraine in 2014. And besides this, Russia was unable to protect the rights of ethnic Ukrainians in temporarily occupied Crimea. 15 judges studied the evidence provided by Ukraine for several years. These court decisions are final and cannot be appealed.
The court, by 13 votes to 3, finds that the Russian Federation, by failing to take measures to investigate facts contained in information received from Ukraine regarding persons who have allegedly committed an offense set forth in Article 2 of the International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism, has violated its obligation under Article 9, Paragraph 1 of the said convention.
The case initiated by Ukraine documented the campaign of terrorism suffered by the Ukrainian people beginning in 2014. Russian-controlled individuals and groups attacked Ukrainians, shelled our civilian areas, and bombed peaceful cities. Ukrainians were targeting Volnovakha, Mariupol, Kramatorsk, Avdiivka, Kharkiv, and Odessa. Furthermore, Russia has been conducting a campaign aimed at the cultural destruction of ethnic groups of Ukrainians and Crimean Tatars in the temporarily occupied Crimea since 2014. The judgment of the International Court of Justice leaves no doubt that the Russian Federation is in violation of international law. Ukraine remains committed to pursuing justice and accountability for all of Russia's illegal acts, including the full-scale invasion Russia launched in 2022. If someone tells you once again that the sanctions against Russia do not work, do not believe them. They act. It is just that the results appear much later than we expected. But they appear. For example, Russian airplanes have had engine problems 20 times since the beginning of this year alone. The 4th aircraft of S-7 Airlines in the last 4 days suffered an engine breakdown during a flight. A new incident with a Boeing 737 aircraft occurred in Ulan-Ude. It interrupted the flight to Moscow due to engine surge, a representative of the Federal Air Transport Agency said. The aircraft has been suspended from flights and its technical condition is being assessed. There were 176 people on board. Another incident at S7 occurred on January 29th. The Airbus A320 from Omsk to Moscow suffered a right engine failure. There were more than 170 people on board. On January 27th, 2 more aircraft were unable to take off due to engine failure. 160 people were supposed to fly from Ulan-Ude to Moscow, but the Boeing never took off due to surge in 2 engines. Also, flight S7 from Moscow to Antalya did not take place. Boeing again aborted takeoff due to engine surge. Engines have become one of the main causes of incidents in Russia. Problems with them have already caused a first crash on a Russian company's aircraft. After 2 engines failed, a private Falcon airline crashed, killing 2 passengers in Pakistan. The Kremlin can talk as much as it wants about import substitution and life without Western technologies, but the reality will prove to Russians that they are dependent on such a hated West, and eventually the war will affect every Russian. That concludes our today's video. Thank you for watching. Stay updated. Comment, like and subscribe to our UATV English channel for more news from Ukraine. Your support is what really matters. Goodbye.